So, Kim, take it away.
Thanks, Brownie. Sorry, I didn't realize I was on mute there. Good evening and welcome, everybody, for the third session in A Journey Back to You. Tonight we're covering the topic of thought. Thought forms, creation through thought, collective thought, and some tips, tools, and tools of the trade for you to take home with you.
Beautiful.
Okay, everyone can see that okay?
Let's rock and roll.
So let's recap on last time. Last time we looked at programming authority, and dependency. We had a look at how programming is designed from pre-birth through to old age, through to death, to keep us in the dependency on authority cycle through all stages of our life, both in the physical and the non-physical. We looked at what happens on a non-physical level when we have interactions, how our energy field is impacted, ensuring that we keep creating the dependency cycle by attracting what we are putting out, most of the time unconsciously. We looked at the victim, aggressor, savior cycle, and we had a look at a way forward to help you recognize these attributes with affirmations and meditations. So this week, I was just recapping on some of my old books, having a look at some things, and I came across this little package which actually explains dependency from a global scale and how the powers that were have kept us in that dependency cycle. So this is a little excerpt that I've taken from the book Transylvania Sunrise by Peter Moon and Radu Sinmar. This was from a conversation that was held between Caesar Brad of Romania's Department Zero, a secret department, and Signor Mancini. He's a highest level Italian Mason and part of the Bilderberg group. They actually met for a meeting on some discoveries under the Bajeci Mountains, which was some secret chambers that held very, very advanced technology. And what this said was, or what Signor Mancini said was, we always stand to gain, whether it be an influential politician to further our interests, which is the most frequent and almost easiest case to fabricate, or a great businessman, most of whose money we administer through our own networks. It is therefore our interest to create as many such vicious circles as possible. And it is on this foundation that we have built modern society and the so-called cell of society. That is the family, which we have chained to an infinite set of dependencies: jobs, houses, comfort, cars, bank loans, long-term contractual obligations that sometimes even extend to over 2 generations. The role of a vicious circle is to make people dependent, because when this happens, they are no longer free. And we've allowed it to happen. So this series here is all about coming out of that dependency cycle. So in this session, we're having a look at thoughts, thought forms, creation using thoughts, egregores or collective thoughts, and tools for conscious thought. So again, just taking another little passage out of this just to show you how tools have been used at the highest level to keep our thoughts distracted away from ourselves. And he says this: we do not want people to think too much. Thinking can become dangerous and spawn ideas that run counter to our goals. That is why we have sought to extend our control over larger and larger numbers of people, even outside job hours, in their spare time, that is. We have thus allowed technology and innovation to capture the attention of the masses by means the lack of which would be synonymous with catastrophe today. So television sets, telephones, computers, all of your social media apps. This greater plan is why it is so important to understand thoughts, become conscious of your thoughts and the impact that they have on ourselves and those around us. Before we get into thoughts, it's important to understand the subtle bodies. We're actually concentrating on 2 today: the mental field and the emotional field. So most people have heard of the aura, the glowing field of energy that's around our body. It's actually the outer layer of several subtle bodies that surround and penetrate the physical body. These subtle bodies are made of finer, non-physical matter, and each plays a different role in our consciousness and our experience. Our physical body is the smallest of all of our bodies and the densest of them all. So two of these are predominant in relation to thought. The mental body, which relates to our thoughts, and the emotional or the astral body, which relates to our emotions and desires. So the mental body, it reflects our level of intelligence and the kinds of thoughts we focus on. It is often described as a luminous, iridescent field, alive with constantly shifting colors and patterns. Colors and motion reflect the quality of our thoughts. Pure, noble thoughts create clear, radiant hues, whereas chaotic or selfish, fear-driven thoughts appear as cloudy or distorted patterns. The mental body loosely interacts with the emotional body, and over a period of time, our thought patterns shape the mental bodies, including the structure, the sensitivity, and the responsiveness of the mental body, which in turn affects us. And then we have the emotional body. When our attention is focused on emotions or desires, the energy flows through a different subtle body. It reflects our emotional state. For example, in a person who is emotionally immature or selfish, the emotional body is made of heavier, dull-colored material, muddy reds, browns, greens, etc. In a more emotionally balanced or compassionate person, this body is made of finer vibrations filled with clear, beautiful colors. Emotional-based thought forms, which are shaped by strong feelings, are created on this level and can impact and influence not just ourselves, but all of those around us. So what are thoughts? Thoughts are absolutely everything. They are the foundational force of creation. So every day we experience millions of thoughts, most of which just pass through our minds unnoticed. These thoughts operate largely at a subconscious level, shaping our emotions, behaviors, and perceptions without our conscious awareness or without direction from us. So without intentional focus, our inner child, the part of us shaped by past experience and conditioning, can unconsciously dictate our decisions and reactions, keeping us locked into a program and repeating cycle that make life feel stagnant or out of control. Remembering our subconscious or our inner child is at the age 1 to 7 year old. That is who is in control of us most of the time. When we start to become aware of our thoughts and work with our inner child, we start to see major breakthroughs in our lives. Thoughts are more than just a mental process. They are energetic forces of vibrations that interact with the subtle realms, a form of energy with the power to create, influence, and shape reality, either your singular reality or collectively. They function as a seed of creation, meaning that what we do with them is what determines our reality, again, both individually and collectively. When we think, energetic impressions take a form as blobs of varying color, a little like you can see in the picture there. They are varying brightness, varying shades of color. Really, you cannot capture what these iridescent forms look like in our world, if you like. These energetic patterns may either dissipate if the thought is fleeting or take on a structured shape if the thought is focused and sustained through repetition, the latter turning into a thought form. Even though most people can't see them, they have real effects on both the mental, physical, emotional, and causal reality, on everything, but not just ours, on those around us. They don't exist in isolation. Thoughts interact with the universal field of consciousness, carrying a vibrational signature that radiates outwards. It's not just a mental activity. It's a vibrational event. When you think, you're generating energy, and that energy forms a unique vibrational signature, much like a personal frequency. This signature is inseparable from you because it is born from your specific blend of consciousness, emotion, and intention. This vibrational imprint acts like a magnetic thread, linking the thought form back to your energy field. No matter where the thought goes, whether it dissipates quickly, lingers in your aura, or is directed outward, it carries this energetic tag that ties it to its source being you. Now, in that same book, Transylvania Sunrise, what was really interesting is during, in the lead up to a second meeting that Caesar Brad had with Signor Mancini, Caesar Brad was actually able to access the mental field. He was able to lock on to the thought forms that came from Signor Mancini. He traced those threads back to the man, so he could see what this guy was thinking about prior to that meeting. Now, obviously, that takes a lot of work and a lot of understanding and meditation to be able to get that point, but it's possible. It's doable. We all actually have that ability if we strive towards it. So when a thought is especially charged with emotion, whether it's love, fear, anger, or joy, it becomes more than just a passing idea. It can evolve into a thought form, a more stable energetic structure that can continue to exist independently in the subtle realms. Even though it's independent, it has still got that thread back to you. Yet even then, there we go, it's linked to you remains. This is why we often feel the return of our own energy. For better or worse, what we project, we remain connected to. That is why intentional thought work is so powerful. When you focus your mind, charge it with emotion, and send it out with purpose, you're not just broadcasting a wish, you're creating something alive and tethered, something that continues to resonate with your unique frequency and influence the energetic field around you. What does the science say? There's been many, many studies done on thought. I'm just going to give you two examples. Dr. Dean Radin of the Institute of Noetic Sciences conducted experiments on conscious intention affecting physical systems. His studies showed that focused human thought could influence random number generators and impact on the structure of light photons in a double-slit experiment. These experiments provided quantifiable evidence that thoughts are not just internal processes, but have external energetic effects, reinforcing the idea that focused thought generates real, measurable changes in the material world. Dr. Masaru Emoto in the late 90s conducted experiments on water molecules, showing that human thought, words, and emotions affect the molecular structure of water. He exposed water samples to different spoken words, written phrases, music, and focused intentions, froze the water, and examined the ice crystals under the microscope. He demonstrated that focused positive intentions of love and gratitude created harmonious, beautiful, geometric crystal formations, whereas negative thoughts of hate and anger resulted in distorted, chaotic structures. He was able to provide visual proof that thoughts carry measurable energy and can physically influence the surrounding environment. Now, this picture here shows this is the water structure taken from the Fujiwara Dam in Japan. After he'd done these experiments and exposed that water to the thoughts, the feelings, emotions, etc. of love, this is what the crystalline structure of the water changed into. It's very, very powerful. And that's just from a thought. So what is a thought form exactly? It's an energetic structure created when a thought is repeated often and charged with emotion, strong emotion that can be positive or negative. Unlike the millions of passing thoughts we have, a thought form has staying power. It sits on the mental plane and can begin to take on a life of its own, becoming imprinted with energy, especially when repetitive or with a sudden burst of emotion. They can be created consciously or unconsciously, depending on the process of the person and the mental state that they are in. They have a very real impact on not only you, but those around us. Think of it like a mental mold. The more we think of an idea, the more the mold fills up. If we're not specific with our thoughts, the form or the mold is full of holes, leaving our inner child, a 1 to 7-year-old, to fill it in. Who knows what you'll get when you do that? Rarely we think of attempting to check in with our emotions, often reacting from a conditioned pattern perspective, meaning when we feel it surging within us, we yield to the emotion and consider it natural, because that's what we know. This is not to say that we should suppress our emotions, but we should stay conscious and be in control of them rather than letting them control us. The mind is an instrument which we must learn to use. When our mind remains idle, not only are we not directing ourselves, but any passing thought form can drift in and impress upon our thoughts. The mind left unoccupied is neglected. It's a neglected tool, rendering it almost useless and controllable. But not only can we pick up passing thoughts that are floating by us, we leave ourselves subject to also mind control. Mind control is not a subject that we're going into tonight, but we know that it's very real. We know that the technology that they have today far surpasses anything that we're even aware of. These tools they use. So having knowledge of the emotional and mental bodies awakens us to the importance of instantly weighing all emotions. Strong emotions will affect not only our auric field, but will also create energetic harm or well-being at the receiver's end. And we'll have a look at what that looks like in a minute. So on a basic level, there's 3 types of thought forms. The thought form in the image of the thinker. This thought form takes on the appearance of the person who creates it. For example, if you really strongly think that you just want to be in Rome, that's all you can think about. You want to go on a trip, you've planned it in your head, you just want to go there. It's been a dream since you've been a child. It's very, very strong. You've got emotion and you've got intent behind it. You can actually project a thought form to a particular place where someone who may be clairvoyant can actually see you. You may appear in the form of an apparition or a ghost at that location, but that's you projecting your own thought form to another place. The second one is the thought form shaped like a mental object. So it takes on the shape of something physical. When you think of a room, a house, a landscape, small mental images of these objects are formed inside the mind and then projected outward. That's a part of the creation process. So even though we often think these mental images are just imaginary, they actually exist as real forms in subtle matter, which can be influenced by other elementals or beings which exist on the non-physical plane. So you've probably heard the saying that characters in a book take on a life of their own, right? Well, that's actually exactly what happens, because you've already created that thought form out here. There are all types of other little elemental beings, other entities that live on the non-physical plane. Some of them can be quite mischievous, and they'll actually start to interact with these thought forms or these characters that you're building in this book. So then that character takes on a life of its own. The third thought form is expressions of feelings and thoughts. This third type doesn't copy a person or an object. It creates a completely new shape that expresses the feeling and quality of the thought itself. These thought forms naturally express themselves in free-flowing patterns in the astral or mental planes, not tied to anything physical. They're created from a burst of feeling or emotion like love, peace, anger, jealousy, and so on. They can also come from focused meditation, created by experienced practitioners who have learned how to shape their thoughts with precision and intention. So just let's have a look at what all this means. This is a thought form of extreme anger. This is of the third type, created by intense emotion. These images have been taken from 2 books, Man Invisible and Invisible, and Thought Forms, written by C.W. Leadbeater and along with Annie Besant. These images that we're going to see now are all in a controlled environment. These are not made up. These are seen by multiple people, verified with each other. So the following, this and the next page, are two examples of extreme anger taken from a rough and partially drunk male in London when he struck a woman. The flash in the picture darted out at the female the moment before he hit her, or he raised his hands to strike her. It caused a shuddering feeling of horror in the recipient. The dart was a thought of steady anger, intense and desiring vengeance, to the level of murder, sustained through years and directed against a person who had inflicted a deep injury on the one who sent it. The dirty brown in the cloud is selfishness. It is so strongly evident that it stains the outrush of anger, forming into the violent points of red. So what needs to be noted here is if that sender was trained and strong of will, this thought form could have killed the person. That is how powerful thought is. Not only does it create a thought form, but this is what it does to your actual non-physical body. The sooty black coils in here are thought forms lit by a glow of active hatred. Less defined wisps cover the whole of the astral body with fiery arrows of uncontrolled anger, shooting through the body like flashes of lightning, showing violent rage has lost control. Even if not physically violent, the flashes are penetrating and injuring other astral bodies, just like a sword would. We've all been on the receiving end of anger. We've all felt that shuddering of emotion. It's not because you know what's coming. Well, it is to a degree, but it's because those thought forms, that energy that is being directed at you has already hit you before the event occurs. You are already being told what's about to happen. This extreme case usually lasts only for a few minutes, but everyone who becomes angry shows some of these characteristics to some extent. The anger passes, but it does leave a mark behind. In the average body of a person, there is a certain amount of scarlet, which shows the capacity for anger and being irritated. Each angry outburst adds to this and the astral body. The astral body and therefore the physical, you in the physical, responds more easily the next time you get a burst of emotion. The imprint continues to grow every single time you do it. On the other hand, this is divine affection. This is a thought form of definite affection, effective and capable, and will achieve a result. This has intention and action. So the clearness of the color shows the purity of the emotion, which causes the thought form. The original circular form that it began as has now changed to a comet-like form, projecting itself towards its goal. The preciseness for the outline shows the power and the purpose of this form. Similarly, this shows you the aura of a mother who is affectionate with pure, unselfish affection to her child as she covers it with kisses. The changes almost obscure the original colors of the aura. We see the formation of large crimson coils lined with living light. Each of these is a thought form of intense affection and is instantly directed to the object of their affection. The astral body is crossed by horizontal, pulsating lines of crimson light, exceedingly rapid in motion. A type of rose-like color covers the surface of the whole of the astral body, so the appearance of everything else is like it is seen through rose-tinted glasses. A crimson flush also condenses into half-formed circular clouds. Again, this only generally lasts a few seconds or minutes, but with each occurrence, this is the imprint that you are putting into your aura. So when people come into your field, this is what they feel. Now, when you compare this to the last two slides, you choose what state you want to be in. You can never go back to not knowing what your thoughts are capable of doing once we get to the end of this section. When we say it will cause harm to you and those around you, you can see how. When we say it will cause love and peace to you and those around you, you can see the difference from the original two, the first two. To give you some more examples, this first one here, the brownish green, indicates that it is an expression of jealousy. The shape shows the eagerness of the person watching the subject. The shape resembles a snake with a raised head, symbolizing the attitude of the jealous person, waiting, just waiting to discover the signs to cause him to feel jealous. So the moment the jealousy is justified in their mind, the form changes. It now includes anger. The jealousy is represented by a murky cloud interspersed with definite flashes of anger ready to strike. This is a person newly in love, and you can see that by the colors of the aura, the beautiful colors that surround the person. However, the greeny brown color of jealousy has formed a band around the base chakra area. You can see that here. The extreme activity of this feeling is shown by the bright scarlet flashes of anger permeating it. Now you'll notice here too that green and brown color is murky. It's because the negative emotion has taken over, causing the flashes of anger to come out, which are in relation to those feelings of jealousy. But that's what it does. When you have jealous emotions like that, it creates that band in your non-physical body. This is one of deep depression. The dull grey lines are like bars, and the whole effect of this astral body is indescribably gloomy. It's very depressing, not only to the person, but to others as well. The ordinary colours are still in the background, but they're veiled by these heavy, weeping lines. There are many stages between a healthy astral body and one who is at this stage. There may be only a few bars of depression, and sometimes only a heavy cloud. There are many who allow this fog of despair to close around them until all the world looks black, not realizing that in doing so, they are not only delaying their own evolution and losing many, many opportunities to progress, but are also affecting all of those around them. These lower vibrations of depression are one of the most infectious, both to the living and those who have passed on, with most people finding it very difficult to block the effects after being around someone in this state. You know yourselves when you are in the presence of someone who is extremely depressed, you feel that heaviness within you, both while you're around them and after you walk away. Sometimes it takes quite some time for you to pull yourself out of that, and you're not even the person in that state. It's a very detrimental state to be in, both for you individually and for the people that you are around. On the other hand, we have a look at these peaceful and loving ones. So this is a thought of love and peace and prayerful projection sent by a person who has power and will and has earned the right to bless. This beautiful thought form is filled with the lovely rose color of affection, and the intellect which guided it shines through the center. This is an unselfish and earnest wish for good. Over here, this person was meditating and aspiring to enfold mankind, to draw them upward toward the highest ideal he could so clearly see. The form rushes out from him to curve around upon itself, and it reflects back to him as well. So this is the astral body of somebody who is spiritually progressing, far, far different to those that we have seen before. Their mental and astral bodies are greatly refined. Their vibratory rate is so much finer and quicker than what you see in those previous ones. All thoughts of this person of selfishness are now gone, with the pure violet and golden stars up here showing the higher qualities of one who is making progress on their spiritual path. Desires and emotions are under control. They may occasionally become irritable and have some undesirable cravings, but they know enough now to repress these manifestations and to maintain a control against them instead of giving into them. So this person has done a lot of work with themselves. Much stronger vibrations of higher qualities are being expressed. Now, you might remember this from the last presentation. This is what we were talking about. All of those pictures that you just saw there, this gets caught up, this gets imprinted into our energetic field that is around us. As I said before, every time you have a repeated emotion, you create those colors. You further imprint those thought forms into your auric body, into your astral body, into your mental field, making it easier for you to slip back into those states. But not only that, like energy attracts like energy. So if you have those thoughts sitting in your auric body out here, what do you think it's going to attract back to you? The more you put out, the more you get back. The stronger the emotion behind your thoughts, the stronger implications it has of those exact same vibrations returning to you. So as you can see, our thoughts and emotions have much more of an impact on us and those around us than we often realize. The more focus and attention you give to a particular thought, the more of an imprint it leaves in your auric field. The strengthening of that vibration with continued focus, as I was saying before, attracts more of the same back to you. It is so important to be conscious of your thoughts all of the time. This is why we should put our energy into something that we want to create, rather than focusing on those things that either make us angry, keep us in a lower vibrational loop, or incite fear into our being, and all of those negative emotions. When we start to work on ourselves with the intent of existing in a higher state of awareness, working from that place of love, our mental and emotional bodies and beyond become an iridescent, radiant light of beauty. And that's what gets attracted back to us. It attracts from the surrounding atmosphere, the glow for those which glows for those who can see it. You know, that's another old saying, someone lights up the room when they walk into it. This is why, because they actually have a glow around them. They don't sit in that lower vibrational state. It reflects in their entire being, which then comes out in the physical. So that leads us now into creation through thought. So creation begins in the mind. It's not in the physical world. Every action, invention, manifestation starts first as a thought. The more focused and energized that thought, the more powerful it becomes to shape reality. It all begins with a clear idea or desire. When you consciously choose what you want to create, whether it's peace in your life, a solution to a problem, a new project, or you would like to manifest something that you need, you set a creative impulse in motion. Holding that idea in your mind with clarity and concentration begins to form a thought form in your mental body. So this is of the third type of thought form, or the first or the second type of thought form. The more focused the thought, the more well-defined the thought form becomes. When the thought is infused with positive emotion like joy, love, gratitude, or excitement, it gains energy. This emotion acts like fuel. It strengthens the thought form and it helps it to begin to attract what it needs from the unseen realms. The universe starts to get behind you. Repeating the thought, living like it is already in existence in the physical, and knowing that it will become a reality gives the thought more power. The thought form becomes stronger and more magnetic the more it is held with conviction. Take purposeful steps that match your thought. This grounds the energy into the physical reality. Without the aligned action, the energy remains a potential. Your action on something that you want to create shows your full intent. So you have a thought, you have emotion behind it, and now you have action. So when the thought form becomes strong and energized, it begins to attract people, situations, opportunities that match its vibration. This is where the synchronicities and unexpected coincidences often start to show up. And we all know it. We all know right now coincidences are happening in our life so much more frequently. Eventually, the thought crystallizes into the physical world, either through your own actions, others' involvements with you, or changes in external conditions. What once lived only in the mind has now become a part of your physical experience. And it all started with a thought. So a few things to remember with this. If you are creating or manifesting with thought, be specific. This is so important. The more detail and accuracy you can have, the closer to what you want you will get. I'll tell you a little story. There was a guy who did a seminar many, many, many years ago. He wanted a new car. He visualized the car. He did everything that he could think of with this car. He he had it all in detail. He wanted a red car. He wanted it to be this make and this model and whatever else he wanted it to be. So after he did his projections, he got his car. But unfortunately, it didn't have a motor in it. He forgot to ask it to run. He forgot to ask that he wants it to be a car that works. So the non-specificness of his thoughts, of his projections, of his visualizations came exactly into fruition. He got exactly what he asked for. He just didn't ask for everything. So it's really important when you are doing exercises, when you are in that mode of creation, that you be specific. You get the details first. So the process. So let's have a look at this in action. Get an idea on something that you want to create. Let's say you want to build a house. Starts as a thought. You start thinking about it more. What will it look like? What material would you have? Where would you like to live? What would you like to have in it? What kind of gardens would you like? You maybe start to throw the idea around with a partner, your family, friends, etc. So now you're getting them on board. Your thoughts become more focused. You may be doing some research. Look at how much you would like to spend, etc., etc. All the time. This is all action and intent. You make the decision that, yes, you're going to do this. You're going to build a house. Now you're excited. Now you've got joy, love, excitement, creative thought processes going through your head. If you've got a partner or a family, you bring them on board. Now you've got two, maybe four of you who are equally as excited, equally looking at the same vision, always building, always pushing that energy into that thought form that you are creating for your house. Now you go and see an architect. This is the definite action. You're on your way. You've got now a picture and you can start to see your house in detail. You visualize it like a holographic image. See it from above, below, front, back, sides. Walk through it, touch it, feel it, smell it, hear the sounds. See it finished. Feel the joy of moving in. You visualize the yard and what that might look like. You have a clear image in your mind. Your family can now see it. And you're all excited, knowing that you're on your way. Stronger intent, stronger emotion, feeding the energy of that thought form. You find some land, you get a builder, and now you've got foundations in the ground. You watch the house taking shape. Gardens are being worked on. Maybe a pool. Before you know it, it's complete and you're moving in. The sense and peace of contentment washes over you, and you send a prayer of gratitude for this creation that started from a thought, your thought, that has the power and with intent and emotion and action behind it to bring it into reality. That's how powerful a thought is. We have a look at collective thought. So when people gather with shared intention, a power is created, which can create change, healing, harmony, even chaos. Each individual thought might seem small on its own, but when joined with others, it becomes a part of a much greater force, one that can uplift, one that can inspire, transform, heal, or unfortunately destroy. When minds align in purpose, whether in silence, prayer, vision, or meditation, they create a field of energy that resonates far beyond the group itself. This energy can bring healing and harmony, chaos, upheaval, not just to the individuals involved, but to communities, environments, the world, and beyond. Again, this can be done consciously or unconsciously. So each person in the group collectively focuses on, for example, using healing intention here, on the same healing intention, such as love, peace, or restoration for the individual. This synchronized focus creates a thought form of healing, which is amplified by the number of people involved. Adding in compassion, love, faith to their intention energizes the healing thought form. The emotional charge makes the energy magnetic and vibrant. Often, healing prayers or meditations align the group with higher spiritual energies, inviting grace, divine light, or universal life force to flow through the group and into the person receiving the healing. Because thoughts and spiritual energy are not limited by space and time, healing can be transmitted across any different distance. The recipient's subtle bodies, mental, emotional, etheric, respond to this vibration, helping realign imbalances and stimulate healing. The person receiving it doesn't necessarily need to know that they are receiving healing, but the more open and receptive they are, even subconsciously, the more easily the energy is integrated and healing occurs. In 2006, this is a great example of this. A young girl in the US was critically ill with a rare autoimmune disorder. Her family reached out to local spiritual groups, online prayer groups, etc. And over the course of several weeks, hundreds of people from different parts of the globe held daily healing meditations and prayers for this young girl, visualizing her surrounded by golden light and health. The girl's condition, which had been rapidly declining, unexpectedly stabilized and gradually improved. And of course, the doctors were baffled. But that is the power of collective healing, collective thought when it comes to healing. On the other hand, it's not always used for good. Of course, like anything, it can be used for nefarious purposes as well. Here's a quick look at something called an egregore. It's a powerful collective thought form that is created when a group of people consistently focus on the same idea, belief, or goal. It's a kind of energetic being or a field of consciousness that is fed by the thoughts, intentions, and emotions of the group, and in turn can influence and shape the thinking and behavior of those connected to it or those who are drawn into it. In some cases, egregores can actually have their own chakra system. They are a very, very powerful tool. The more often the group focuses on it, talks about it, emotionally invests in it, the stronger the energetic structure becomes and is generally fueled by passion, devotion, fear, or loyalty. Over time, this concentrated thought energy becomes semi-autonomous. It develops its own momentum and character, shaped by collective emotions and beliefs. If the egregore is powerful enough, it can influence wider society, spreading trends, movements, love, or collective fears. So a worldwide meditation group, this is an example, focusing on peace, creates an egregore of peace, which strengthens the inner sense of calm and compassion in its participants, which then radiates the vibration outwards to all of those around them, out to the world, the universe, multi-universes, and beyond. By the same token, a group centered on fear or anger, driven from a specific event, creates a heavy, fearful energy that influences not only its members, but also others who come into contact with it. The creation of egregores is recorded in many ancient texts of esoteric nature and is just one of the tools used by those who have been in power. We really only need to have a look at the last 5 years to completely understand what has gone on there. So this can be used for businesses, but when there is, like, for example, something that they want to affect the whole world with, they will no doubt create an egregore, and a very powerful one at that. They will feed that, as we know, by media, by campaigns of fear, by distrust, by division, by all of those things that we are all striving to avoid. What does that turn do? That creates this powerful entity type thought form, which radiates those emotions, which radiates those vibrations, touching everyone. Most people will get drawn into it. And when they do, they feed it back. So they feed back the egregore, making it stronger. That's how things continue to roll for such a long period of time, or one of the tools they use to help utilize, spread fear, spread division, spread all of those things that we've been desperately so trying to get away from. So how do we break the cycle of this negative thought, of this negative programming? The habit of concentration by itself tends to strengthen the mind, allowing us to more easily exercise control and selection of our thoughts. A concentration exercise will help you to become more focused and start the process of conscious thought. At first, the mind wanders, but will eventually be overcome the more that you practice. We do have a concentration exercise that is going to be put into the chat and on the Telegram channels as well, which is just a foundational one that you can use at any time. So the ability to concentrate can be used to effective purposes, strengthening the positive aspects of ourselves and others, or as in for creation. So our minds answer to all that is of like nature to itself. What you get out, you put back. What you put out, you get back, So by habitual thinking and concentration of positive tendencies, we build into the very fabric of the mental body materials that are receptive of the positive and unreceptive to the negative. So a great place to start with this is not only with that concentration exercise, but there's also a strengthening yourself meditation, which is in there. That meditation has two parts to it. The first one is a focus on some good aspect or some aspect of you that you love, that you want to strengthen. The second part of that is using a mirror, and we'll go through those at the end. Some other tips and tricks. I use a little court technique, and I call it the be still technique. It's about training your brain to become conscious of your thoughts. So whenever I find myself wandering, or if I'm having trouble going to sleep at night because I've got so many things running through my mind, I place my fingers on my third eye, and all I do is say, be still, and I say that until all thoughts leave my mind. It takes practice, but the more you do it, the quicker you respond to it, and the longer you will stay in a state where you don't have random thoughts just passing through your mind, or you coming out of a loop where you're just replaying the same thing over and over. So train your brain. That's the thing. You need to train your brain. Use the focus meditations. Create a project or a vision. When you catch yourself drifting off in aimless thought, bring your attention back to the project you're creating. You don't even have to be working on it to do this. So strengthen the vision, add details to it, refocus your thoughts, refocus those random thoughts that are just going off wherever they want into something of manifestation, into a project that you want to create. Give yourself a tool where when you find your mind drifting, you've got something that you can bring your attention back to. Focus on the future, not the past. Everything that has happened to you to date has made you who you are. It is a part of your story. How you choose to look and think about those things and what space you sit in with it is your choice. That depends on your thoughts and how much energy you put into it. You can let the past rule you, or you can look forward and create using all of that amazing experience, all of those amazing life lessons that you have gained from your entire life to guide you in your decisions of where you want to go from here. Knowing now what you don't want from those experiences, you're able to focus more on what you do want from future experiences. Train your brain to come out of the past. Access the tools, access the lessons, access the knowledge that you have gained from the past, but don't sit in that space. Refocus your attention always to the future on creating what you want with the positive attributes that you've learned. Change your words to something that replaces the negative. So if you've got an illness, for example, I'll give you a classic example here. A long time ago, I went to the doctor, had some tests, white cell count was quite high. I asked her what the outcome was, what's the worst possible scenario? And she said leukemia. So of course, what happens then? Your mind, every time you're just not even thinking, the word leukemia pops into your mind from nowhere. You could be focusing at work, you could be doing something else, but all of a sudden, front and center, there's that word. So what I did was I changed that word to lucky me, I'm so healthy, because that was close to leukemia, but far enough away that it had no connection to it. Every single time I thought of myself, of that word, I consciously changed it to lucky me, I'm so healthy. And you know what happened? The word leukemia never entered my mind because I did it so often. My brain, my subconscious, my inner child got the message. We were to no longer focus on that, because by focusing on it, we had a very real possibility of creating it. So we changed it to something positive, and that negative went away. It is a very, very powerful tool. If you're in a situation and you're reacting emotionally, remembering what those thought forms will do, take a breath. Before you respond, take a breath. Don't respond immediately. Check yourself. Check what space you're sitting in. Knowing what those thoughts can and will do to you and whoever it is that your attention is directed to. Take yourself out of the situation and view it as a third person. It means that you're looking at it objectively. You're not infusing negative emotions into that interaction. Become the observer of your own situation. Communicate with your inner child. Find out what has triggered with you and work with it. Always leave that line of communication open. And with all things, practice, practice, practice. It's what it takes. There are very, very, very few people who learn and understand this knowledge and actually make a difference immediately. Well, you make a difference immediately, but it always takes practice, repetition. You are retraining yourself. You are retraining your inner child to work with you instead of against you, to work with you in creating your positive environment instead of a continuous loop of programming, instead of a negative environment, instead of constantly getting into the same programs. You are retraining you. So it's important to practice, practice, practice. So in summary, with all of this, become conscious of your thoughts and the impacts that they have on yourself and those around you. Your thoughts are powerful. They're powerful tools of creation. Each and every thought shapes your reality and influences the world around you. Awareness is the first step. When you become conscious of your thoughts, you reclaim your power to direct your life. Choose thoughts that uplift and inspire you. By aligning your thinking with your highest ideals, you create pathways to joy, success, and inner peace. Together, collective positive thought can transform the world 100%. By holding high visions individually and collectively, we raise the vibration of humanity. Start now. Think powerfully. Live intentionally, because your next thought could just be the one that changes your world. Choose it with courage and love. And always, always remember, you are more powerful than you know. So that closes the presentation for tonight, but I'm going to just quickly go through, as always, the rest of those the tools and tips and tricks and so forth that we've got for you here. So I'm just going to bring that up. This is just a very quick affirmation in thought control. Very simple. I'm aware of my thoughts. I choose to think with clarity, love, and purpose. That's it. Say it, I don't know, however many times you want in front of the mirror. It emphasizes that you are being the one that is creating your path, your destiny. You are being the observer of your own mind. You are consciously choosing your thoughts and thought patterns, and you are using those thoughts for constructive purposes. So the next one that we have is a concentration meditation. It's very similar to the one that we did, I think, in the first sessions. And this one here, just find a quiet space, go through your normal routine when you're going for a meditation. Find something to concentrate on. It can be your breath, a candle flame, single word, simple image in your mind. Breathe naturally. Let your breath flow easily without trying to control it. If it's a word, mentally repeat it gently. If it's an image, hold it softly in your mind. If it's a flame, you can have that flame in front of you, looking at that as you meditate. Note all of the distractive thoughts that come into your mind, and they will. Simply notice them without judgment, let them go, and bring your attention back to the focus, or the point of focus that you started with, and carry on doing that. The next little thing that we have here is the manifestation process. This is where you want to actually create something. So decide what it is that you'd like to manifest. Be very specific, as we talked about. This is a very powerful tool. So if you want a new car, for example, Include all of the details that you need, every single thing that you can think of. Decide why you want it, how it will be used, what benefits it's going to bring. Know the expenses that may come along with it, insurance, maintenance, etc., etc. Go through your routine, sit comfortably, quietly, etc. Concentrate and focus your mind on the object. Imagine it being achieved. Project yourself forward to the time that you have it. Live in it. Use it from all your senses. See it, feel it, breathe it. Sit in the car. Feel like you're driving it. Smell the upholstery. Feel the steering wheel. Put the blinkers on. Live it like you've got it. Include your inner child in this. Have fun with your inner child in this creation process. Be specific. If you find any flaws in this process or something that you might have missed, go back and do the steps again. Create a statement or some images that you would like. Include them when you refocus, when you actually do this meditation time and time again, remembering the more you do it, the more energy that you give it, the quicker it's going to manifest. When you've imagined, oh, sorry, no, we've already been through that. At the end of each visualization, give thanks that your objective has been achieved. Start to make actions that you have it already. So if it's a car, for example, clean out the garage, make room for it. Go to car yards, have a look. Call a friend who knows about cars. Start looking online, seeing what's available. Take the actions as if you're already there and it's on its way. That's how you manifest. Repeat it as often as you can. You will be surprised at how it comes into your life. However, always remember, never focus on how you are going to get it. You focus on the money, you interrupt the flow of my energy because it's not the money that you want to create. It's the manifestation of what you want. Don't worry about how it comes to you. All of a sudden, it may be gifted in a will, for example, that you didn't even know you were a part of. There can be any number of ways that manifestation occurs. Concentrate on what you want, not how you're going to get it. How you get it is not your business. Okay, this is the one where we can actually redirect our thoughts and strengthen ourselves. So first part of this, or you can use either of those, both, whatever you like. Find a quiet space to go through your routine. Think about a talent, a skill, or an ability that you have, something that you do well, but you would like to strengthen in that. Make it only one thing. You might be a good cook, a good sports player, might be good at craft. I've got craft in there. It should be craft. Might play an instrument. Might be something you do well at work, or you might be that you're kind, you're patient, you're compassionate, loving, caring. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Concentrate and focus on that positive aspect in you. See it becoming stronger and see yourself expressing this aspect more fully than you do now. Stay in that space for a while. The second part of this is a little different. Stand in front of the mirror so that you can see at least half of your body. Fully erect, bring your heels together, pull in your stomach, keep your chest out and your head up. Breathe deeply 3 or 4 times. Feel a sense of power, strength, and determination flowing through you. Focus on an attribute that you want to improve. Look deeply into your own eyes. And I know some people struggle with that, but this is the way that you get to know you. Tell yourself that you are going to get what you want. Name whatever it is aloud. Hear the words. Might be something along the lines of, I am confident. You can strengthen this by writing in soap on the face of the mirror. Any slogans or keywords that help boost this attribute or this thing that you are working on, so long as they're in alignment with what you're doing. Tell yourself that you are, for example, an outstanding success and that nothing in this world has the power to stop you, because it doesn't. The only stops that we have are in here. Do it morning and night, or as often as you can, and repeat the process on something else when you have finished. Remembering every idea presented to your inner child is going to be produced exactly in the physical world. The quicker your inner child gets the idea that you are confident, that you are powerful, that you are successful, the sooner your wish becomes a picture of power. The sooner you bring it into the physical. If you act the part, you become the part. And there's no better way than rehearsing that acting in front of the mirror. Vanity doesn't come into this, but we use this exercise to build yourself into the person that you want to become. The last one that we're going to have a look at is setting ideals. And this is all about moving through the journey of actually living from that higher level of awareness. I'm going to leave this into the it'll be in the chat and also in the Telegram channels and so forth. I won't read the whole thing, but this is about setting an ideal, a realistic ideal that you can make your decisions by in life, be it personal, be it work, be it whatever. You go through a process. So you set the ideal. I'll just brush over this. You set the ideal, an ideal that is realistic. When you need a decision to be made, you pose the question so that it's answered in a yes or no way. Looking at that whatever decision that you need to make, you can bring in all the facets of it. Decide what it's going to be on your question, on your challenge, whatever it is, decide what the outcome is, and then have a look at that from the logical perspective, taking in all of the factors. Measure your decision against the original ideal that you set. Sometimes it might come back as a no, but it might be that because the motive on which it was based is not in alignment with your ideal. Meditate on it. You might end up with a yo-yo, a yes or no. You don't have to make the decision, the final decision right now. Align yourself with your higher self. Allow those things to come through. Measure your decision again against the ideal after you've been through that process, then do it. Once you do it, be thankful, be grateful. The more that you use this practice, the more in alignment with your higher level of awareness you are going to become. So when you've got to make bigger decisions, then it's going to become a lot easier. So start off with small ones. And then if you need to, bring it into higher ones or much larger ones. You will then be confident after having gone through this process that you are actually getting the correct information, that you are actually getting guidance from your higher self. You can then watch your life flow, watch it unfold like the beautiful flowers that we all are. And that ends our presentation for this evening. So thank you all for coming, and I hope you enjoyed that. And there was
Let the questions begin.
and let the questions begin.
I've got a couple of first up. And you're talking about intended thoughts, and oftentimes you could be lying in bed and you're trying to drift off, and you do have like you're creating these intended thoughts of what you want. Then you go to sleep, and then you have a dream that's completely different. So is the dreaming something completely different to what we're talking about? Like, do we have any power over our dreams at all?
Yes, we do. Dreams are very much, most of the time, messages that we quite often don't know how to tune into. What we think sometimes a dream may mean may not necessarily have anything to do with it whatsoever. There could be like a fundamental message under there. If you are going through a process and you were dreaming about it, people, I think, Brownie, you said you dream quite often. So often for people who do, it's all about what's been going on or what is currently happening in your life. There are different types of dreams. They can either be a projection of our bodies out, so astral traveling, say, so to speak, or you're actually accessing different realms.
Yep.
It can be something where your subconscious mind is trying to give you a message, perhaps on the topic, but it's not always necessarily what it seems, or what it seems is not always what it means.
Yeah, I figured that a few times.
Yeah. So you need to really have a look at the context of it, what it looks like, if how it sort of unfolded, if you think it's related to something that's going on in your current life, what did that actually even look like? It could be a warning, but it also could be a progression. So it's each one needs to be looked at individually.
Okay. So you mentioned before about the auras of those as an example. Someone that is really angry, violent, wants to kill someone. When police interact with that kind of situation, is there anything they can do to calm that person down without their own aura being affected? It must be a tough job for police and about those who are dealing with domestic violence and so forth, or even put it on the other shoe, a partner that's very violent. What's the effects there, and what can you do to stop that coming onto you, but also to how can you help them as well?
One of the best things to do in any situation like that is project love. So even though you may feel, you can physically see the anger coming off them, and it doesn't matter who it is, you can feel the anger coming off them. First of all, actually, a good idea is to protect yourself. Always put a layer of protection right around your non-physical body. There are many tools, many different tools that you can do that with, using the colors of platinum, for example, lead, platinum in those situations. Well, all the time it's good idea to have protection around you. But if you want to reinforce it quickly, just imagine a
lead shield.
Yeah, a lead shield or a platinum shield or whatever it is, so that you want to stop those. If you need to physically put your hand up so that you are telling yourself, do not let this energy enter or hit me. Sometimes it's a really good reminder to yourself you can do it either way. It doesn't really matter, or have just like something that you do that reminds you to instantly put up that layer of protection. Then you want to always look for the higher self in the person that you are having the interaction with. See it from their perspective. Send love. It's very, very difficult to do when you're in a situation that is instantaneous and all of a sudden you are getting an onslaught of physical and energetic things going on with you, because your program immediately goes into reaction, quite often angry reaction. Take that breath. Take that breath. And just think, force yourself to mentally think, why is this person? Something must be going on with this person. Let's send them love, pure love, not emotional love. Regardless of whether it has the calming effect on the outside, it will actually affect their energetic field. That will have a resulting effect on their physical output. It may not be instantaneous, but it will happen. It has the power to actually change a whole situation around when you are mentally, physically, emotionally projecting that outward love, seeing them working from their higher selves. Imagine that they are actually now at a level where they are working from a higher level of awareness. It doesn't matter if that reflects in their physical of what they are doing. You are projecting those higher vibrations onto them, which will unconsciously affect them on some level. And always stay calm. Always.
Yeah. I mean, and again, like how many people are in a domestic situation where they're dealing with that from their partners, all the time.
It's yeah.
Kids grow up and looking to see if dad's in a good mood or not, and it depends on whether they scoot to the room or stay in the lounge room. That's tough.
It is very, very tough. It is one of the most difficult situations to deal with, the domestic situation, particularly when it's repeated behavior, because not only is that person gaining strength because they are actually taking energy from you, but you on the receiving end are weakening in strength. You tend to get to that point, and I'm sure most of us have gone down this road, whereby you lose confidence in who you are. Your power starts to drain from you. You forget what you were like before because now you're in submission, trying to avoid reacting or creating any situation that's going to incite anger or violence or whatever it is. And this is where, as in the last session, there was tools in there to help you deal with this. It may get to the point where that situation is no longer beneficial for you, and you have to make that decision for yourself and your family as to whether you want to repeatedly expose yourself to that if all else has failed. There is things and steps in place that you can do before you get to that point. You can try whatever it is that you can try. You can work on yourself. You can build your power up. And if nothing changes right through that whole process, then you may have to make that decision on whether you actually stay or not.
Well, I've seen it happen at late where one partner is very ill, and they're incapable of looking after themselves, and the other person who was bright and bubbly and energetic and so forth is now very drained because all they're doing is looking after the partner, and not that the partner is by any ways needed. It's just that they don't have time for themselves because they're continually being drained by their partner that has needs consistently. So that's really
So
hard as well.
it is very, very difficult, and there is always things that they can do to help themselves there. Quite often when we are in relationships, and that does happen where one becomes very ill, we have a sense of responsibility that we are the only ones that can look after them, forgetting that actually we do exist ourselves and we do need to have that time for ourselves. Once you get past the initial, I remember seeing this with my grandmother and my grandfather. My grandfather had Alzheimer's, and they had been married for many, many, many years, and till death do us part was everything to them. It took a lot for her to actually get to the point where she knew she could do no more, and it was dangerous for him to live at home, and she had to put him into a home. It doesn't have to get to that point, but there is the ability to have help, even if it's relief, if not from friends and family, then there are agencies out there who do provide that kind of help, be it either government or there are a lot of privately run organizations that offer that assistance. But quite often, first, the carer must get over the mental block that they can't go anywhere and they can't do anything, and that they are the only person in the world that can look after that person, oftentimes wearing them down.
Yeah.
It's important to remember in those situations that if we are not taking that time for ourselves and allowing ourselves to also have time for us, we may end up sick. What is the partner going to do if we end up in a state where we're not there to look after them anymore?
Okay, guys, I've said my piece. Does anyone else have any questions for Kim? Any thoughts, observations, any experiences? Come on, guys. You're a quiet bunch tonight. Come on.
No questions, but
Pete.
I find it very well presented and very useful information. It's really what we need. We all need to do and follow these ideals. So I'm very appreciative of what you've done there, Kim.
Oh, thanks so much, Pete.
Yeah, it's all about tools, isn't it? I mean, everything in life is about putting tools in your tool bag. That's
It
for
is.
sure.
It is. And thanks for mentioning that, Pete. That's really lovely. It just brings me so much joy to be able to share this information as well.
Well, talking of which, Rhonda.
Thanks, Brownie. I know Kim very well, very personal. And as I said in my comment there, she is a perfect example tonight of somebody who practices what she preaches. She is always giving out the thoughts, the energy forms of her thoughts are amazing. She often has gets up in front of our group and from her heart, she speaks exactly what she's doing tonight, and it lifts you. It lifts us in the group. Every time she speaks to us, it lifts us. And as I said in here, I often send her thought forms of energy, because I know the amazing workload that she has with the group we're in. And I can't believe how much she does, and she probably doesn't realize how much she does. But I know when I do see her next after sending the energy, I say to her, I sent you some energy last night. And she said, I know, I felt it. and it's true. I often do it. And she often says it. So it's been an awesome presentation tonight, Kim. Thank you. I hope everybody got something from it.
Oh, thank you, Rhonda. Thank you. That's so beautiful. So much love for you.
Actually, something's come up in my head about what you're saying about being around people. I think for a lot of us, before COVID, we had our own little circles of friends and so forth, and we weren't all that positive per se. And then when COVID happened, and we started to feel as though we were lost and didn't have contacts, or losing our friends, we started to connect with truth groups, and we went to rallies, and there was common law groups, and my place and that place, and so eventually over time we all started to find groups that we resonated with. So when we get together physically, the energy in the room is phenomenal, because we're all feeling it together. We're all thinking at the same level, and we're all wanting the same result. Bring on the RV. So that level of vibration in a room can be phenomenal. I mean, we have our lunches every week, and that's what it's like. It's just a beautiful resonance in the room.
Brownie, you're so correct there. The group that we have meet every Saturday morning at a local venue, Blue Water Quay. It's on the river, beautiful spot. We meet every Saturday morning. The only time we miss is if it's Easter Saturday or if Christmas falls on Saturday. And if it's bad weather, because it's fairly open air, we always gather just to have a coffee somewhere at a coffee shop, just so that we get together. Because a lot of the people, well, every one of the people that are in that group, I never knew before COVID. I did not know any of them. And the people that I did know before COVID don't come to the group, because they talk about it. I talk about it to my family and everything. Some of my family have been there, but they don't make it like, I feel I get some positive energy just for the coming week, just by being there on the Saturday morning and listening to those that come as well, because we've all got things to impart to each other. People need help. You can offer help. It works like it's a circle. And I just think it's amazing that we consider, each and every one of us, I believe, consider us to be a family. And we never knew each other prior to the COVID trying to break us apart. And the ones that are at the river, that's not the whole group, because we've got something like 3,500, 4,000 followers on Facebook. And at one stage we had a freedom rally that had about 6,000 or 7,000 people attended to it. It just blew our minds that day. Never expected it to be that big. And not because those people don't actually come on a Saturday morning, but they do come when we have a rally, a specific rally for a purpose. So that's very positive too. But it's amazing, like you say, we didn't know any of them before this all came about, and we wouldn't want to be without them now.
We found our tribe, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Guys, what I might do is, we're getting towards the top of the hour, so I might just end the recording here. For those who are listening, thank you so much for being on the call, and we'll see you on the next one, guys.